Everyone is here.
At least all speakers and myself, we are here, Gosam.
Speakers are all here.
Yeah.
So let's start. And the participants are coming in.
Yeah, numbers are going up fast, 45 plus.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to welcome the respected speakers and the attendees to this webinar today. Webinar titled Quality in Construction, Its Impact on Nation Building. So we would like to invite our President, Dr. Ajay Pradhan, to give his opening remarks. Dr. Ajay Pradhan has broad experience spanning some 30 years with contractors and consultants involved in technically complex infrastructure projects for national, state, local, and private clients. As a people leader, he is responsible on behalf of the shareholders and stakeholders to ensure the success of all his clients and his employees' prosperity by directing the day-to-day affairs of the business. In addition to business, strategy, and financial issues, he deals with challenges and issues relating to corporate governance, corporate social responsibility, and corporate ethics. His technical experience includes bespoke finance contracts, alliances, partnering, conventional and design, build, and EPC construction, and has been involved in many disciplines, including environmental, climate change, sustainability, airport, rail, corridors, metro, ports, maritime, offshore pipeline and platforms, offshore windmill, hydropower, dams and reservoirs, mining, waste and wastewater, and so on. Dr. Pradhan, please.
Thank
Floor is
you.
yours.
Thank you, Gosa, for kind words and your introduction. Good afternoon and welcome everyone participating in this webinar. And this is an important topic which is must for everybody, be it is policymakers, the contractors, the engineers, the municipal authorities. I think everyone who is working, even financing agencies, quality in construction and its impact in nation building. This is so important at this stage. So at the outset, let me thank all my colleagues, members and well-wishers from the Ethics and Quality Committee, especially Mr. Somnath Ghosh. You have already heard him. He is going to moderate this webinar. I heartily welcome the eminent expert speakers who will be sharing their knowledge, experiences, and thoughts on how quality in construction sector is so paramount and of importance for our nation building. Just to brief about what is consulting engineer, those who are new to the CIA platform, this is a 60 years old consulting engineering fraternity for representing FIDIC, which is called International Federation of Consulting Engineers, and we are over 500 members. And we work closely with the contractors, consulting engineers, government, and all the people, the stakeholder working in these industries. Quality in construction, I mean, as you heard that, Mr. Ghosh and the British says, is the most important aspects India's international or transformational growth in infrastructure. When I'm talking international transformation, like what we are talking about, I'll just give you a small anecdote that, when I went from India to abroad in Europe to do my study, I asked my professor, Jacob Muller, when he showed me the milk in Denmark, what is this milk, pure milk? He surprised and looked at me. He said, what do you mean? Milk is always pure. Why you are asking this? So that is what my understanding, knowledge, when you go from a village in Odisha to Europe, and you see this is what is the quality actually mean, So therefore, the quality starts right from the very beginning for our fraternity itself. From maybe it is a scoping study to conceptual design to detailed project report, or you look at detailed engineering to construction supervision and quality control. So these are whole aspects. I think we are more responsible in doing that. And until we hand over the project to the developer and the operational team with all documents, quality control, drawings, everything, and giving them a kind of a dry run if the project requires to all aspects, and giving them understanding that what is the design life analysis of these projects and what they need to do for their O&M and other aspects if you are not involved. So let me just broadly tell you that, 5-6 factors, what I believe is important for, for quality in construction, and that can transform India. Number one, I believe that quality of engineering design, including detail engineering and supervision, very, very important for quality of construction. The way you design, the way you model it, the way detailing it out, you hand over the good for construction drawing, you got to really make sure that these are all properly detailed out. And probably you can give them a kind of a, 3D or 4D models, which we call now the, BIM model, so that the contractor or the people that been well experienced. It is the job of a consultant or the project management or program manager to ensure that the contractors, resident engineer or different, they understand that. That's very important. Never happened, I have seen. Clarity and transparency in tender design documents and cost estimates. That is sometimes actually you prepare some estimate, you have designed some tender, clarity. I mean, I've seen many tenders are not clear and they're not transparent. That's very important for the contractor or whoever is developing is so clear. Quality of human resources is so important that you have to ensure that each component of the project which you are going to construct in that have the contractor, the party who is developing or the implementing have got the right people, right skill set, and they have already qualified through all the certification process. That's so important. Then as the project owner or even owner's engineer or the design engineer or project manager or program manager, you must share all data, reports, and design parameters with the contractors and program managers. Now, if you don't do, then there will be really missing information. And last but not the least, selection of the right contractors for the job without really looking at the consideration of L1. You should look at the quality cost basis. It should happen that the watchmaking company is doing the steel bridge maintenance and design engineering. Maybe has something, but I don't know. This is just a bright example in front of us. Then you have to see the party who is doing health, safety, environment, quality is very, very important. And also, the quality control, so important that you have to also, just like we asked the dredging contractor, how many litigations you have in last 5 years. Typically, you will have every contractor or every dredging company, for example, you will have 2-3 litigations always. So that is actually basis we choose actually right dredging company for any, whether we are desilting or in a reservoir or lake or coastal water. Similarly, contractors must give a certificate that how many hours of zero casualty or no casualty actually you have in projects in last 5 years. Project 1 to 5, you have given references, give us that also. That is mandated to understand that the contractor is following rules and regulations. And that's actually, these are number of points. I think I'm sure that colleagues and the speakers are going to really discuss and share their understanding. But I believe that overall, information technology or technology, for example, whether it is a program management, dashboards you're doing, you are using a drone, we are doing IoT based. So you monitor projects and see that what is happening on day-to-day basis. Quite often you see that is the cranes are working in a busy construction, urban infrastructure, and you see that there's somebody at night is going to hit it. So you don't have any clue that who is going to do, how this is got crashed. And we have 2-3 examples actually in that. So like if you see the metro pillar which crashed near Lady Shri Ram College, and we had a under construction bridge just opposite our when we were building the Bombay T2 airport, just opposite that it got crashed. I think these are things we had no idea until somebody come and inform. You should have immediate inform through drones, cameras, CCTVs, various things. So that's the technology you must use for construction so that you have immediate information to really manage and do salvage operations. So this, let me thank all of you. In the closure, I thank all my colleagues who is going to speak. I'm sure the deliberation and the discussion is going to be very meaningful and fruitful. There will be a number of takeaways, and we have experience. Pandey Sahab is there from NHI. He brings tons of experience. Bhagwat Sahab is there, Rao Sahab, and Alok, my colleague, is there. I think they will bring in tons of experience. I hope the participants will benefit a great deal. Thank you very much, Gosa, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pradhan. You've set the tone for the rest of the webinar. Let me introduce this. Infrastructure sector is a key driver of the Indian economy, as you know. The sector is largely responsible for propelling India's overall development and enjoys intense focus from the government for initiating policies that would ensure time-bound creation of world-class infrastructure in the country. Infrastructure sector includes power, bridges, dams, roads and highways, and urban infrastructure development. In fact, the infrastructure sector acts as a catalyst for India's economic growth as it drives the growth for the allied sectors like townships, housing, built-up infrastructure, and construction development projects. India plans to spend about $1.4 trillion on infrastructure in the next 5 years, and hundreds of new cities need to be developed over the period of the next decade. With the development of new infrastructure, the quality in construction is equally important. Recent failures in urban built-up environment are glaring examples of shortfall in whether it's planning or design or construction or maintenance. The collapse of the suspension bridge in Morbi is a tragic indeed. So was the flooding in Bengaluru due to heavy rains. We frequently see these images of bridges and elevated roads collapse during construction. We will address these kind of issues in today's webinar. While quality infrastructure is being built at an accelerated pace, such instances are a mark of oversight and quality and does not bode good for the country. SIA is proud to bring to you such eminent speakers and authorities in the field to share the experience on this important topic today, quality in construction, its impact on nation building. Before I proceed, let me just have a few messages for the attendees. If you have any questions, please write it down in the chat box. We have a Q&A session at the end after all the speakers have spoken, starting at about 5:15 approximately, and we will be responding to your questions at that time. With this, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. R.K. Pandey, who is Member Projects, National Highways Authority of India, for his keynote address. A brief on Mr. Pandey. Mr. R.K. Pandey is a Member Projects at NHAI since November 2015. He joined the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways as an Assistant Executive Engineer in 1986 through Central Engineering Services. He worked in various positions in the ministry and rose to the position of Chief Engineer in September 2011. He also served NHAI as the Chief General Manager during September 2009 to September 2011, when he became the Chief Engineer in the ministry. He is presently the additional DG in the ministry. Mr. Pandey, he's the Member Projects in the ministry. Mr. Pandey has been responsible for completion of the remaining NHDP Phase 3 to Phase 4 projects and was given major responsibility for the Bharatmala project of the Government of India. With this, I would like to invite and have the privilege to have Mr. Pandey speak to us. Mr. Pandey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, and good evening, everyone. Friends, a very apt topic decided by CIA to be discussed amongst all the key stakeholders. I would like to congratulate CIA for this. The most important issue, before I talk to you on the quality point of, the first important aspect is I'm coming from the highway sector and I'll talk to you about the road sector. As probably all you know, we are fortunate in the sense we have the second largest road network in the world. Today I'm saying second largest. There is every possibility when we will meet next time, maybe we will be the largest road network in the world. Of course, in this road network, a small component rests with the Government of India, and Government of India is responsible for maintenance and development of the national highway, which is around 2% of the total road network. But for this 2% of the total road network, which caters to the majority of the traffic, Government of India has launched an ambitious program, and which is popularly known as Bharatmala. Under Bharatmala, the plan is to develop around 65,000 kilometers of national highways. And we have reached to a figure of 37 kilometers a day. You can imagine the kind of construction we are doing, and the budget is of the order of 2 lakh crore per annum. Of course, there are issues. We are number one. It's a dubious kind of distinction to having maximum number of fatalities. And we are number one as far as the fatalities on the roads are concerned. So when we talk about quality, we also take care of safety aspect of roads in our quality. Quality of a road, for us, quality means implementing a project the way we have designed it, the way we have envisaged. For designing a project, we have a lot of documents available with us. We have MORTH specification, we have IRC specification. We prepare a DPR, then implement it. What is the system of implementation, and to ensure that whatever we are doing, it is being done as per the standard and specification which we have envisaged at the time of implementation of the project. But before I talk to you about the importance of the quality, the most important point is, what if something goes wrong? As I said, the national highway being the primary network, I cannot afford to close it even for a day. It is not the question of collapse or failure. Even if I have to close it for maintenance, maybe for replacement of some part of the structure or for renewal, we can't afford. We can't afford. It has to be planned and prepared. It is not the time, it is not the lifeline of the city or the country, but directly it affects the vehicle operating cost, it affects the maintenance cost, it affects the human resource cost, it affects many ways. So it is utmost important for us to have a quality infrastructure. When we talk about quality infrastructure, a project has its own life cycle. And when I talk about life cycle, it could be pre-construction, construction, and post-construction. Pre-construction is mainly preparation of the project. A project is prepared well, we can assure of the quality. What are the tools available with us, and how do we ensure quality during project preparation? Number one, as I said, the detailed standard and specifications are available. We follow the standard and specification. For preparation of the projects, we utilize the services of the consultants. The selection of consultant is done following a quality-based criteria. Of course, we give 80% to the quality and 20% of the financial code. And the DPR consultants are selected. Of course, even after having all this, it has been our experience that the quality of the project is not as good. To improve it further, what we did is we have a system of peer review wherein the experienced people who work in the highway sector, they are being assigned these tasks. They will go through the DPRs, they go to the sites, inspect the whole stretch, and suggest some kind of modification. Those modifications we implement, and then we'll take up the project for approval. Even when we go for approval of the project, it is being scrutinized, and there are system of pre-appraisal and appraisal, wherein again we utilize services of the experts who go through our proposal, seek all kind of clarification, and then clear it. Once the proposal is cleared, then it is offered for implementation. During the construction period, the system is the main responsibility lies with the contractor or the concessioner. When I'm saying the main responsibility lies with the contractor or concessioner, the word contractor we use for all those projects which are government funded, and concessioner where we are utilizing the services of the private sector participation in development of our projects. So in both these systems, the primary responsibility for implementation of the project rests with the implementing agency. Implementing agency means the contractor and the concessioner. We are fortunate in the sense our system is so robust now that in the road sector, you'll find India Road Congress and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways specification. They give you each kind of test which is to be done on what frequency. For all items, this is well specified, and it is the responsibility of the contractor and concessioner to carry out those tests. I'm sure when I talk about the responsibility of the contractor and consultant to carry out those tests, certainly it will come to your mind that they are a party to the contract and how far you can rely on them. Of course, we have to rely on them, but at the same time, we have second level of check. Second level of check, again here we have a system of supervision engineer. Supervision engineer, it is called in different mode of procurement, different name has been given. It could be supervision consultant, independent engineer, or the authority engineer. Basically, his role is to see to it that project is being done in accordance with the provision, whatever we made in the contract, and he also carries out the quality test. Before doing the quality test, everybody has talked about quality system, and rather than going for the sampling, let us have something built in the system which ensures quality. So, before we start implementing the project, there is a system of having detailed quality assurance plan, methodology to execute an item, which is being approved at the level of the engineer. As a third level check, these projects are being inspected, and these are inspected either by the officers of the NHAI, or NHAI again engaged national quality monitor or third party, who goes whenever we get a kind of complaints or some kind of issues in a project. These people go and again inspect the project, give their reports, suggest modification, whatever we would like to have in our system. Coming to the implement during post-operation, post-construction, to have a kind of sense, our entire contracting system is such that in BOT project, the contractor concessionaire is responsible for the entire life of the project, the entire concession period, and which as high as 30 years. In the hybrid annuity mode, the concession period is 15 years, and the concessionaire is responsible for 15 years of the quality of the construction. In case of EPC projects are those projects where the government of India provides money and contractor executes the work. In EPC projects, the contractors are responsible for 5 years for bituminous work, and if it's a concrete payment or we have gone for the perpetual payment, they will be responsible for 15 years. So by having very high, large this defect liability period, we try to see to it that things are done in a way that nobody is in a hurry to reduce cost at this point, but rather he'll have to take the whole life cycle cost and make sure the kind of a specification which he is adopting are cheaper in terms of the whole life cycle cost. So this is the system available with us. The other point which we are trying to do is, when we started construction, basically it was manual construction to bring an amount of accuracy or the perfectness, moved towards the mechanization. And today all our operations are mechanized operation. Now we are looking forward to move towards digital construction, which will eliminate the human element. Of course, as a civil engineer, particularly in the highway engineering, what happens, we are the laggard when it comes to the question of adoption of digital technologies. But anyway, we have taken lead in this. And in our first project, which is Lucknow-Kanpur Expressway, we made it compulsory that whosoever will be coming to participate in the tender, he will have to equip himself with certain sensors. All the equipments will be fitted with the sensors, will go on providing us the requisite information. We did it in a partial way for a very simple reason, because to move to such a system, what I'll have to depend, I'll have to take all of my stakeholders along with me. But we had a very successful experiment, in the sense the number of participants who participated in this tender was quite good. There was no, if I say otherwise, that there is no reduction in the number of the people by implementing this kind of condition. Now, what we are looking forward is, we would like to have a roadmap for moving from the conventional way of construction towards digital construction, and that day is not far when you will find that all our systems are implemented through digital technology. Dr. Pradhan talked about use of technology in our implementation of the projects. It gives me immense pleasure to inform you that we have already moved. Today we have a system of drone videography every month for all our projects. Appointed date is a date which we declare from which the contractor can start the work. Before we start the work, a drone videography is being done, which is the permanent record. And after having been drone videography, which clearly shows what kind of land is available with me and no work was started at site, will help us in implementing the project. Thereafter, the drone videography is being done every month. Not only drone videography, the point is, as I said, for implementation of the projects, we utilize the services of the engineer. There are a number of issues where this assessment could be subjective. Now we have moved away from this, and presently what we are using network survey vehicle, mobile visual inspection unit, FWD, all those equipment for assessment of the road condition. It will eliminate not only subjectivity, the whole human element out of the assessment being made by the engineer. And these are the permanent record, and which are shared with the concessionaire and contractor. This is what we have done. Of course, with all whatever we have done, I don't say that we have succeeded, and it is very difficult for me to even conclude that this has not given me the fruits. Why I'm saying so? Because over last 1 year, we have unfortunately witnessed a couple of failures, which indicates that whatever is the system, still it requires improvement. And there, I would like to request CAI to help us come forward. One of the issue which is being debated in each and every forum is about very low code by the engineers, whether it is a DPR consultant or it's a supervision consultant. They are quoting very low and getting the job. My request to the profession is, of course, as far as we are concerned, we are taking care in the sense we are trying to curb all those kind of practices. Now, what we did is very recently, the people who are quoting earlier, they were being selected on the basis of the strength of their CVs. Now, apart from CVs, after the selection, we have independent board of the experts. It comprises of 3 eminent experts, and the entire team is subjected to interview by them. And unfortunately, I'll have to tell you that the results are very poor, in the sense the kind of rejection has gone as high as 50% of the total team. But at the same time, it will give me a confidence that whosoever I am deploying, they are in good number. I do agree that the kind of program we have taken up in our hand required huge manpower, particularly skilled manpower, particularly the engineers. There, I expect that we'll have to have some kind of capacity building. We'll have to have. When we started our whole system, if you go back 25 years back, one executive engineer of the state PWD used to be the material engineer. He used to be the bridge expert. He used to be the consultant, contact expert. He used to be the financial expert. Today we have a team with so many experts available with us. But still, what we thought have not yet been received. Wherein I can tell very confidently that my project is perfectly okay. And when I'm saying perfectly okay, it is not one project. If I'm handling 400 projects today, at least 399 will pass that criteria. There, I hope that we'll work with the CEAI and think of some kind of capacity building, think of curbing all those poor practices, which leads to poor name to the profession. This is in first, hand from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pandiji. I think yours was an inspiring talk, and we do see a lot of opportunities for CEI to collaborate with NHAI, especially in the area of capacity building. We will get in touch with you later and see what could be done under your guidance. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to invite the Mr. D.U. Ramakrishnan.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Ramakrishnan is currently heading the Quality Department of L&T Energy Hydrocarbon Construction Services Business Unit from Chennai, having an overall experience of 29 plus years. After graduating in mechanical engineering in 1993, he worked at various domestic and international projects in oil and gas sector. Along the time, he has completed various professional qualifications. It's a long list, but what is interesting to the subject at hand, which is quality, he's a lead auditor in ISO 9001:2015. He's having experience in welding, non-destructive examination, and quality management system. As head of quality, he's responsible for implementation of quality management system, delivering qualitative products to the customer, identifying and adopting various latest cutting-edge technologies at various domestic and international projects executed by L&T Energy Hydrocarbon and Construction Services. Over to you, Mr. Ramakrishnan.
Yeah. Good afternoon, and I would like to thank the CEA to give this opportunity. In fact, I mean that I'm going to talk about the construction quality, critical success factor, particularly in the large-scale hydrocarbon projects. So here I'm going to talk specifically about what all the latest technologies are available in market with respect to hydrocarbon and what it is putting in practice by L&T. So generally, if you see this hydrocarbon sector in the sense means we are calling it as three streams: upstream, mid, and downstream. Where upstream is mainly dealt with the oil explorations or gas explorations, followed by the midstream is specifically the transportation of this crude oil to the refineries, either through the tankers or through cross-country pipelines, which is coming under midstream. And the downstream is the area where this crude oil is getting refined, and the final product, what we are using it right now as a fuel, petrol, diesel, naphthas are being manufactured. So specifically, now I'm going to talk about this petrochemical and refineries in downstream. What are the latest technologies are being available? So if you see this Indian hydrocarbon sector, if you see it, I mean that it is one of India's 8 core business. Hydrocarbon is following, and we are the third largest consumer of this crude oil, and consumption is of around 204 million metric ton per annum. And we are also the 4th largest. India is having this refining capacities with 251 million metric ton per annum through 23 refineries, which is covered through public and as well as the private and joint ventures. And the main point here to note down is that we are the 4th largest LNG importer. And in the next 5 years, we are going to invest around 7.5 trillion rupees. We are going to invest in this oil and gas sector. So with this, if you see, I mean that the refining capacity of the India generally right now, if you see it in the 1998, it is 62. Right now, we are landing it up to 51 MMT, that is million metric ton per annum. The last 20 years, if you see it in the sense means our refining capacity has been increased by 125% from 112 to 251. And the most important point here to note down is the next 10 years, what we are going to do is the last 20 years, what we did it, that we are going to do it in the next 10 years. So it clearly shows the largest volume, what we are going to handle in hydrocarbon sector, how many projects are all going to come. And the main challenges lying in this field is, one is the volume. Another one is nowadays the customers is asking for the reduced project cycle time. They want to take their investment, return of investment as early as possible. And the third one is very highly competitive. Around 5 years before in hydrocarbon, around 3 or 4 major contractors was there, but right now it's not like that. Multiple contractors, which includes that foreign contractors are also now coming in India and doing the job. highly competitive. And apart from all, I mean that we are not having technicians, highly skilled technicians, scarcity of this. These are the challenges in the hydrocarbon. With all these challenges, how we are going to ensure a qualitative product in the Indian industry is the main thing we are going to discuss now. The key success factor when it comes means that it lies on two parts. First of all, the process quality and the product quality. So first, the process quality, what I am going to discuss is, if the process is in place and it is being well established in the sense means, automatically your finished product will come as per the requirements. So when it comes to this process quality in the sense means, it is very, very essential an organization should have a strong, dynamic and robust the quality management system. It means that it should have, I mean, there's a strong vision, mission, and a true quality policy, which is stating that what is our requirements in order to achieve our target. So here, when it comes to this deployment, then it should have an organization, should have a established quality manual, and it should have a standard operating procedure for all the processes. It doesn't mean, I mean, that it is only for the products, that work procedures or methods to man. For each and every process, a strong standard operating procedure should be made available. And in order to achieve these policies, the key performance indicators needs to be set up for the individual departments, because a lot of stakeholders are only going to deliver the product. So KPA should be kept in line with the KPA. The individual should have the KRA, and the management should have strong management review meetings where the deployment status along with the effectiveness of the vision and quality policies needs to be monitored on the regular basis. So already, I mean that earlier Mr. Pradhan has told it, because in any project, if it is there in the sense means it is an EPC, engineering, procurement, and finally the construction. So there should be a strong detailed engineering. We should have a strong understanding about the customer specification. So even though I have shown what are the various processes are being involved in this design, I'm going to specifically talking about 3 phases only here, which forms the qualitative design. Quality in the sense means it is not only lying with the end product, it should be in the design stage also. So here the first point is, we should have a very clear understanding about the customer specifications. We should not go by default. Some projects we have done it in the earlier, and we are going to do the typical, the next project also in the sense means, it is not like that the yearly specification can be simply copied out. We should understand, because it is varied depending upon the licensor. The second thing is the interface engineering. The interface engineering means what I am referring, it means engineering, procurement, and as well as the constructions. There should be a strong project feasibility studies and the constructability review. Why I mean that trusting here in the sense means, sometimes I mean the design people used to sit inside the office, they used to design it with respect to the specification, codes and standards and the statutory requirement. But practically it may not be possible to procure that particular item, or the construction may not be in a position to do the construction as per their design. So it will lead to the issues during the time ultimately the project over, or there may be some compromise on the quality. So in order to avoid that one, at the start of the phase itself, a constructability review should be made, where all these 3 team members should sit and discuss on how they are going to take care of the project, how it is going to be taking it up further. So in that time, the difficulties of the different phases will be discussed, and accordingly the proper negotiation, either in engineering or procurement, or I mean that the construction part shall be taken care of, so that there will not be any compromise on the quality of the finished product. And the last one, what I want to say here is the drawing control. So when it comes to this drawing control, normally what is the problem is being available in the, generally in construction part is available is, engineering used to use the revised drawing, but how the revised drawing is being flown from the various channel partners to the end user. This is one of the biggest problem. And some of the projects, if you see it, the revised drawing could have been made it in the month of May, but I mean that the end user will use the superseded drawing. So there should be a strong drawing control. It needs to be ensured that as and when the revised drawing has been made, it is properly communicated to the end user. These are all the main points which needs to be taken care at the design stage. And when it comes to the second part of the process quality in the sense means the procurement, we should have a strong vendor management. capabilities of the vendor. We should not go based on the L1. We should have a strong evaluation system where the capabilities of the vendors with respect to his financial capabilities, the resources, whether we can able to meet the delivery schedule or what type of quality requirements is required for these projects, and whether the vendor is proper resources, either in terms of machineries, materials is available, we have to evaluate it. And it needs to be evaluated on the periodical basis. It should not be on one-time basis. The second thing thrust in the procurement is any material request which has been made by the design should be validated by quality before placing order itself, in order to ensure that all the quality requirements of the specifications are being put forth before the order is being placed to the vendor. Otherwise, the ambiguities may rise at the later stage, which will not only cost the quality, but also the progress schedule. And of course, when it comes to this order management, we are well versed. I mean, the quality assurance plan, the periodic inspections are to be carried out with the competent third-party inspectors, etc. everything. But here, 2 points I would like to say. Normally, the mistakes where it is being happened is people used to thought the stage inspection are made, the finished products are being made as per the relevant testings are all okay. But packaging and transportation and the storage and preservations are very, 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 very important. Sometimes the product has been made as per the requirements, but if it is not being properly packed or transported, it could have resulted to the damage. Some damages may be visible, something may not be visible in our industries, which will have impacts during the commissioning stage. Similarly, some items will be dispatched to the project site, but may not be recorded at that period. It may be recorded after 3 months or 4 months. But if it is not being properly preserved, in the sense means whatever the effort which has been put forth earlier, either at the design stage or evaluation stage or the inspection stage, that will become futile. So we should have give more focus on packaging, transportation, as well as on the storage and preservations. So now let me talk about this product quality. When it comes to this product quality, in the sense means specifically what I am going to talk about here, in the sense means, as I said, in the next 10 years, we are going to handle huge volume of projects, and cycle time is getting reduced until and unless this quality enablers, either this advanced technologies, digitalization, and competency development and stakeholder. These are all the 4 areas which we have to give more focus so as to get the excellence in product quality and to improve our productivity, and of course, ultimately the customer delight. Now, few of the technologies, what it is being available, I mean that in the market, which is essential in order to growth of these hydrocarbon sectors, I'm going to discuss here with some of the videos. So here, if it comes in the sense means, mainly, I mean that when it comes to this cutting operations, CNC cutting machines are available in the market. In conventional process, normally what we used to go it in the sense means cutting with the gas cutting, followed by grinding will be carried out by the grinder. But however, the CNC machines are being made available where cutting and beveling will be simultaneously carried out. So here the productivity of these machines, if you see it in the sense means, we can able to get around 400 inch as compared to the conventional manual, if we are getting it around 60 inch. So you can see it almost, it is 7 to 8 times high productivity. But at the same time, what I want to say in the sense means consistent quality. You can able to get different types of profile cuttings with high level of surface finish, which is very, very essential for the high quality weld. So similarly, I mean that when it goes to the small bore pipes, normally people used to think big size, big bores, they are all having, I mean that very, very cumbersome. No, it's not like that. The small bore are the very, very pain areas in hydrocarbon is being concerned. So here also that handy tools are being made available for doing this beveling machine. In the earlier case, the machine is fixed, the job is being transferred. But here, whereas in this case, the handy tools are weighing 7 to 8 kilograms only, where the job will be fixed, but the machine can be transferred from one location to the another location. And you can see, I mean that this is yielding almost 50 to 60 times the high productivity with very high finish. You can see the shiny finish, which we can never able to achieve it in the manual processes. The second one, the important activity in the hydrocarbon sector is the welding. So generally, if you see the welding in the sense means we used to see this sheeted metal arc welding or gas tungsten arc welding, but however, now they are become absolute. Now in that places, the flux core arc welding or this RMD process, RMD in the sense means regulated metal deposit in place of the stick welding is being available in the market, where the productivity of this product is coming almost 120 inch dia per welder man day as compared to the conventional arc welding, where the welder used to deliver around 40 to 50 inch dia alone. And here, not only the productivity is getting increased, but also the quality of the weld. If you see it, the quality of the weld is also being increased it here with high resolution. It's getting jammed video. Sorry, just a minute. My video is getting jammed. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
You are audible and you can proceed with the slides. I think you have given the message very clearly on the automatic.
Actually, it is.
We saw the video. We saw the video very clearly. Now
Actually, what happened that my PowerPoint presentation is getting jammed. Just a minute.
You can exit and reproject it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
You can share it again, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. So similarly, I mean that when it comes to this.
Yeah, you can. You have to share the slide.
Oh.
Share the screen.
A minute. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Sure.
Yeah, we can see that now.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. So here similarly, I mean that in the market, this orbital weldings, this automatic weldings are being available in the market. And here the process itself is getting changed. It is a flux core arc welding process is being available in place of this shielded metal arc welding. So the human involvement is being avoided, and it is completely being operated by the operator through the remote control, where the welder can able to deposit around 12 kilograms per 10 hours of welder man hours as compared to the conventional process where they can able to deposit around 4 to 5 kg only. So similarly, I mean that the other process, what it is being available, because in project of hydrocarbons, the thickness of the pipes or the big bores are being available up to 100 mm or 120 mm thick also. So in that cases, the submerged arc welding process being put in the practice, where the welders can able to deposit up to 40 to 45 kilograms per welder man, which is almost 10 times the equivalent of this conventional welding process with high level of quality. So these are all the process being available for the piping. And similarly, I have talked about this midstream, where the cross-country pipelines is being employed from one area to another area. The crude oil is being transported. And of course, some of the cross-country pipelines will be going for 600 kilometers also, where it will run through deserts, it will run through forest. There also, I mean, this is the automatic welding is being employed with the help of the various type of machines, PWT, Fronius, Magnatax. That type of manufacturers are available, where we can able to get this type of high level of finish with consistent quality. Main thing is the consistent quality along with high productivity. Similarly, in tankage, this is also in the hydrocarbon sector. Particularly, I talked about this LNG, that we are the 4th largest importer. So a lot of LNG projects are all coming in the market. And for this tankage construction, again, the same submerged arc welding process is being employed. But however, I mean that the machines are getting changed to suit to the geometry of the jobs, whereas in the earlier shape, it is for piping, now it is for the tankage. And you can see, I mean that what type of finish with one single run we can able to get very, very high level of finishes. And tandem submerged arc welding for this 9%, particularly in the nickel. This is the tank of 90-meter dia. It is looking like almost like a cricket ground. If you see it, it is a 90-meter dia of tank of 30-meter height with the double wall storage tank. Store the LNG gas at -196 degrees centigrade, which is a cryogenic, where high level of quality is being imported through the nickel welding. It's not a carbon steel welding. So there, this double tandem submerged arc welding presses doing welding simultaneously from inside and outside is being made available. And it is not only yielding the high productivity, but also it is using the very high level of quality 9% nickel weld. And I proudly say that with this process, even though the customer's target was that they have given that the weld repair should be less than 5%, the actual repair percentage, what has been achieved is 0.7. So this is what I want to say in the sense, the customer delight. So right now we talked about cutting and the welding, but however, in any hydrocarbon project, if you see it, until and unless the non-destructive testing is not being carried out, the project will not be completed. So when it comes to this NDT, radiography and ultrasonic testings are the two prominent entities being used. And here also in this radiography, the digital radiography is being put in place. It is simply like the X-rays, what we are doing in the medical. The earlier days, if you see it, that the patient used to go and he used to go for the X-ray, then the hot film is available, he has to wait for 3-4 hours. But right now, if you see it, he will go to the X-ray room. By the time again he went into the doctor room, that image will go to the doctor. The same technology is being applied here. So here, instead of these films, the image processing plates will be used. And after the exposure, this image processing plate will be fed inside the scanner, and we can able to get the digital image will come. So here, not only the productivity or the highly sensitivity, but it is an eco-friend, where there is no need to go for chemical fixing, developing the hazardous liquids are not being available. And there is no need to, the disposing of this chemical itself is not an eco-friend, but here all these problems are being avoided, and it is also an eco-friendly. The digital radiography is being available in market, which is being employed by L&T. And the another one is this ultrasonic testing. And in this ultrasonic testing, the latest technology, the phased array ultrasonic testing is available. Normally, radiography, what happened today, if you are doing the joint at night only, the radiography is being permitted because of its radiation hazard. And the next day, the film will be developed, and by second half or the third day, it will be interpreted. So we have to wait almost for 48 hours to verify the integrity of the welds. But whereas in this ultrasonic testing, once the welding is completed, for 1 hour, we have to wait till it gets cooled. The temperature has to reach 60 degrees. And once it reaches, the scanning will be carried out by this ultrasonic machine. On real-time results, we can able to get it. And nearby that, the interpreter will be available within the vehicle. He can able to verify the integrity of the weld online. And within 1 hour, we can able to say whether the weld is okay or not okay. And subsequently, it can be released for the further process. So it is having a very huge impact on project completion without compromising on quality. The same thing is for also this nickel tanks. For nickel tanks, I mean that the live automatic ultrasonic testing is being carried out for the big diameter of the tanks, where the interpreter can able to sit inside the office room, and the results will automatically come to his place, and we can able to release for the subsequent shell core erections. Similarly, painting also, I would like to say that the electrostatic paintings are being available. So if you see here the comparison on the left side, the conventional spray, you can see the huge loss. It is a waste of nation's money. But whereas on the right side, the electrostatic painting, if you see it in the sense means not only reduction of the wastage, but the productivity is also improved, and the high quality of the finish we are getting in electrostatic spray, which is available in the market and being implemented by L&T. And when it comes to the civil part, the latest technologies is this robotic painting, which completely for all these control room buildings and refineries, wherever we are using it. Instead of going with this manual painting, we can go with this robotic painting. Consistency is the main part here, and not only the productivity. Wherever that the labor is being involved, the workman is being involved, the fatigue is the factor. We will not get the consistent quality what it is being started at the starting phase of the day and at the finishing state. But since this machine is being involved, we are getting the consistent quality throughout the entire project. So this is plastering. Normally in our, that the houses or any building, we used to see the plaster mason will come and he will mix it. But here this automatic, the plastering machine is being available, where just they have to feed it in the tub, and in one stroke, around a width of around 1 meter, the plastering will be carried out through this auto plastering machine, and you can see the finish. So customer is really delighted, and the durability of the product is also being increased with this automation process. And in civil, similarly, this rebar cutting and bending, where also the CNC machines are being made available. So the CNC machines, just we have to feed the drawing inputs. What is the length of the rod? We have to cut it. What is the diameter? And what is the bending radius? Then automatically the machine will take care of it, and it will start to bend as per the respective dimensions. And we will get the high finished product with these rebar gauges. So now we talked about that the technology is available, but now it is also essential to measure the level of quality. So when it comes to this radiography, means normally we used to have the radiography repair levels, how many joints is repair, how much is radiograph. But when it comes to the civil and the electrical, there is always a subjectivity. Some person used to go and see that it is a good job, but other person, the expectations may be, that is something different. So in order to avoid that, the statistical tool, civil product quality rating is being available, or E&I PQR, we are calling it as electrical and instrumentation product quality rating, which has been designed based on the Singaporean model, where it is called the Conquest Construction Quality Assessment Model is available. Based on that, without any subjectivity, the score sheet is being made where the proper sampling plans will be made it. And here it is not inspection, it is the assessment. The concept of this one is doing right at first time itself. How much percentage of the rework is being avoided, we can able to measure it with these tools. And apart from that, not only the product quality, but also the process quality also needs to be measured. So the project quality index is being available, where the quality of engineering, where the quality of the procurement, where the quality of the construction is being measured, so that we can able to find it out what is the overall the project quality score. And also we can able to find it out in case the project quality score is coming down, which is contributing, either engineering is contributing or procurement or construction, so that the particular area can be focused in order to improve the project quality levels. And of course, when the digitalization is very, very eminent right now. Without digitalization, we cannot be able to succeed in the market. So as I said, that since welding is the core area in hydrocarbon business, maintaining the weld history is very, very essential. So in the earlier days, if you see the conventional process, we used to enter it, that at what stage the fit up has been made, welding has been made, or NDT has been made. Now for this, the ELPS, the activity level planning system has come, where on day-to-day process, it has to be entered. And at the end of this project, when we want to have the history sheet, the system will automatically give complete history. For the last 2 years, if the project is running for 2 years in this environment, since start up to the end, the complete history will be made. Similarly, audits are also being made available online. And mainly these 2 points I would like to say here. One is this WPS Digilog, we are calling. In any project, the welding procedure specification is must. The projects may be running one in Vizag or one in Panipat. The same type of procedures will be recorded in both the projects, but it is unknown whether it is available in this project or not. And they used to go for the duplication. With this digital module, anybody can able to go inside and find it out whether the WPS is available or not. If they're available, they can able to trace it out through this module, and they can able to avoid the duplication. Because there are some procedures which may be taking nearly 40 to 45 days of time to develop. Until then, the welding cannot be started. So this type of duplication can be completely avoided with this digital tool. And scarcity of the technicians, I already pointed out the main challenge. So in construction, hydrocarbon, welders are the key technicians, where I mean that one project is getting completed, carry forward that welder from one project to another project is becoming a big comparison for us. So here this live data bank will be made available, where the complete history of the welder, including his previous, what all the projects he has worked, what type of materials he has welded, what is his repair level statistics, how is his behaviorals, what is his productivity, all data will be available in this data bank. And when the next project comes, in this particular project, if I want alloy steel or a stainless steel welder, this data bank we can able to go and we can able to filter it out and we can able to call the welder on short period of time, so that the good welder can be deployed and at a short period of time in order to meet the project completion schedule. And of course, when we got talked about technology and the digitalization, but creating a quality culture is very, very, very eminent. If technology is available, digitalization is available, but the person who is going to operate the technology or the digital is not having the competency, then it is a problem. So there is always a need for the continual professional development. They have to upgrade themselves to attend the courses of welding engineers, that is IWA, International Welding Engineer certifications, then American Society for Non-Destructive Testing, the level 2 and level 3 courses, welding inspection courses, because it is always necessary to update themselves with the latest technologies. So persons has to be continually sponsored to attending all these courses, so as to upgrade themselves to utilize these technologies and digital process effectively. And of course, I mean that when it comes to this quality culture, it is essential to create awareness on the quality requirement for all stakeholders. It is not like that only the technician or the inspector should be aware about it. If any project has to be succeed, in the sense means all persons, those who are involved, either it may be a workman or subcontractor, supervisors, then my suppliers, they should be aware about all the quality requirement. For that, the quality month celebrations throughout the world, November is being declared as a quality month celebration. So in this particular month, various internal and external training programs to create awareness about quality to all stakeholders are being made. And mainly competitions, a lot of competitions, quiz with technological quiz, essay competition, slogan competition, poster competition, where all workmen, including the workmen or staffs, family members are also used to be participate in this program, so that I mean the awareness is being made to each and every one. And similarly, I mean that the motivation is also required for all projects. So yeah, quality trophy model is being developed in our company, which is with national assessment model, like right now the FICCI Quality System Award or the Golden Pika Quality System. In fact, I mean that the international market, the Malcolm Bridge Award is being available. So from that as a base, we have developed the business excellence models with the various 10 parameters is being set up, and it is being continuously monitored throughout the year basis. And apart from that, a certified external assessor will come and go and do the audit, and they will do assessment on this, the 10 parameters, and give their score, and the best perform the project site is being awarded this annual quality trophy award. And it is purely to motivate the project and to cascade the importance of the quality to all stakeholders. Of course, in order to what we are all doing for all this one, of course, the customer has to be satisfied. But here, what I want to say in the sense mean, the satisfaction needs to be changed to delight. Satisfaction means just meeting the customer's expectation, whereas the delight in the sense mean exceeding the expectation. So in today's business scenario, and it is called for the business excellence, a delighted customer is the best business strategy for all. So finally, I have to say thank you, but here what I want to quote is, change is the only thing that does not change. Why I am putting this point here is, we have talked about the latest technologies and digitalization, etc., but it is not enough. The world is improving fast. A lot of technologies are coming in the market. So we should be equipped ourselves to adapt to the change. We should not end up with this technology alone. We should go and try to adapt what all the latest technologies is available in the market and to put it in our regular job, so that we can able to sustain in the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramakrishnan. You brought in the insight of how to build quality in the organization. Though starting with process quality, product quality. For product quality, you need to have the quality enablers like advanced technologies, digitalization, competency development, stakeholder management. But the whole process of implementing that and taking it through the organization, training your people for quality, culture with the quality trophy, that is an amazing process that you implemented. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramakrishnan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
After this, I would like to call the next speaker, Mr. M. Satish Rao. Mr. Satish Rao is the Vice President and Head, Project Management Consultancy Business Unit at Tata Consulting Engineers. As BU Head, Project Management Consultancy Business Unit, Mr. Rao leads a team of 1,400 plus engineers, building and delivering projects for clients in different sectors and across geographies, at construction sites in India and all over the world. Some exciting new projects are the CIDCO Mass Housing, Shri Ram Temple at Ayodhya, Puri Program Management, power plants in Indonesia and Bangladesh, and the iconic Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project. TC provides services from concept to commissioning, dependent on the scope of work, and monitor the delivery of management for construction supervision, quality, and EHS requirement. Mr. Satish Rao is a member of very large number of professional organizations. He is a fellow of the Institute of Engineers. He's a life member of the American Concrete Institute, India chapter, life member of India Concrete Institution, member Institute of Lean Construction Excellence, member of CEAI, life member of Indian Institution of Bridge Engineers, and life member of India Water Works Association. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Satish Rao for his presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Ghosh, thanks a lot for this introduction that you've done. Let me just know from you if my screen is visible.
Not as yet. Mr. Mani, can you just, yeah. Now it's visible, please.
Okay. Okay, friends, very good evening to all of you. I'm Satish, as Mr. Ghosh has told. I work for Tata Consulting Engineers. This is one of the consulting organizations that is currently celebrating its Diamond Jubilee. We are into our 60th year. We were formed in 1962, and we've been in the consulting business for 60 years now. This quality in construction is something that is very close to our hearts. As consultants, I think that's something that all of the speakers before have already spoken about, how a role of an engineer or a consultant or a supervising engineer is very important. Let me just try to dwell upon as to how, what kind of works that constitute quality and how we can improve upon that. One second, let me just move out all the other things because I'm not able to see my screen. Okay. So what is quality? It's the totality of characteristics that have an ability to satisfy stated needs and then implied needs. So that's something that, implied needs is something that would actually form critical in some sense, that the stated needs would always come in the RFQ, come in the specifications, but there are some implied needs that come in. We will discuss that when we go further into more and more details as we go forward in this in the presentation deck. But what are actually the objectives of quality in construction? One thing is the stated need, which is adherence to the contract specifications. Completion of project time within time, avoiding rework. Yes, of course, everybody will accept that. And then we spoke about Mr. Pandey speaking about the envisaged needs, satisfy customers and the owners' envisaged needs, what they have envisaged as to what is a requirement for a project for them. I think that's something which is very important that we should be looking at. Then we had Ramakrishna speaking about training, development, motivation. Yes, quality-oriented and empowered employees is something that we should be looking at. And finally, avoiding disputes and claims. These do form a kind of a baggage that all construction projects have. So, we cannot shy away from this. But then, quality-oriented and empowered employees is something where a consultant or a supervising engineer from the contractor should be to get a better quality output for all of us. This is a PAF model which talks about the failure cost, the prevention cost. This is an optimal cost model where, we understand that the perfect quality model would, the cost on the failure would be very high if we are not looking into a kind of focused delivery on quality. So more and more preventive costs that we invest in, actually Ramakrishnan actually showed so many things that L&T was doing to improvise on quality, improvise on systems, improvise on quality management systems and the various new technologies that are being brought in. I would bucket all this into prevention costs, which would aid into giving us more and more enhanced and improvised quality, going into higher higher durability and more customer satisfaction. Of course, getting into the delightful customer delight space. The quality assurance program, I think this should have a kind of an exhaustive quality program. We should all stakeholders put together, the customer, the consultant, and the contractor should actually draw up a very robust and exhaustive quality program. We have to have an effective procurement system where we source quality resources, quality material, the material that are going to stand the test of time. We are going to train program, we invest money and time on training the workers, the engineers, the people who are going to ensure that the work is delivered. I think this is something that we have to have more and more focus on. And then, of course, reward more and quality, reward innovative ideas, reward better output. So I think as a quality assurance system, these four would constitute a very good program for all of us. The elements, I would look into design. We have already spoken where the design has to be in line with what are the stated in the implied needs, where we actually select material that have to be included. And then we constitute a kind of a quality checklist or quality measurement systems that support us in delivering quality. So I think these aspects have to be looked into for us delivering a better quality product for the end user or the customer that we're talking about. On the quality control, I think quality control and assurance would be quality assurance would be more on the preventive action, and the quality control would be more on detective actions that we're looking into. So we need to set and practice specific standards as far as construction is concerned. We have to determine the various battery limits or benchmarks for, where we say this is acceptable or not acceptable. We start looking into identifying corrective actions, and then improvise our system, bringing in more and more preventive actions, trying to ensure that the same kind of issues or problems do not recur in future. So I think these things, as far as the quality control system is there, with the quality assurance that we've already spoken, these two constitute a kind of a management system that would aid to a better kind of a quality. Just talking about, just get me some time, please, because I'm not able to see the whole screen here. Yes. So we are talking about kind of research says on the failed structures that 40% of the structures have failed during the construction stage. I'm sure that we all, the people who are involved in construction, be it from the consultant side or the contractor side, we may have some kind of a responsibility in trying to prevent this, in trying to avoid this. So this is something that I think we should be focusing on, because there's a lot of costs involved in failures, because that would immediately get into rework, get into kind of drain on the cash flows that the customer has or the government has, or take it forward that the nation has. So I think this is something that the quality in construction being something which is very, very important. All the stakeholders together, the focus from the customer, the efforts from the contractors, and the due diligence from the consultant together can support in trying to reduce on the failures. What are the top 10 factors that are affecting quality? One thing, we use damaged and low quality material. Yes, supplier and vendor failures. We are talking about subcontractors who do not deliver in line with the work that we are giving out to them. Human factors that are there, failure to document changes, some changes that we're talking about, some changes that, supersede drawings that are going to come in, or, some practices that are not current, some last minute changes that happen from the customer or the situation on site. Scope creep, miscommunication, complexity of design, which might not be constructible, or we might not have done a due diligence on the constructability of that. We are lacking in project management systems, and a kind of a laxity on audits and testing, which constitute some of the major reasons that we are looking at affecting the overall quality management in construction. Some facts on quality, whatever research that I have gone into, these come into a range of around 10 to 15% as a rework cost. If you are looking into a kind of investment that a nation is doing on construction, if you are looking at, and a rework cost of 10 to 15%, we can understand the drain into the monetary resources that we are facing. We are looking, there was a very good article from Mr. A.N. Prakash in LinkedIn, where he has collated data and has presented that 5 to 15% of project cost is on rework. Then there has been historical data in the research document that we've had on poor quality of construction, which says that 12.4% of the contract value has gone into rework. This is not only a drain on the construction, it's also a drain on the overheads of the contractor, where then he starts trying to subsidize this kind of losses into more and more poor quality, thereby actually overall impacting the quality for all of us. And what is the cost of poor quality? This is actually kind of a tip of the iceberg, where a very small part is seen above the water. What are these? Inspection, scrap, we are going to scrap the work that has been done, rework will come in, warranties will have to be there. We may have to kind of reschedule, reprocess the whole system. But then under the water, under the surface, there are many other reasons which are actually going to be a very strong reason for us to invest on good quality. There are going to be scheduling conflicts, whereby the rework is going to lead us to more and more design. We are going to lose on the monetary value of time. The morale would be lost. The customer confidence is lost. There's going to be a lot of operational costs and byproduct losses, which I'll be speaking in a couple of slides later. Then we might need to force upon expediting and having some parallel schedules coming in, trying to meet the customer end dates. We might have to forcibly get into buffering more and more inventory, getting a credibility impact, and loss in sales for future jobs. So, friends, if you see the above the waterline, the cost might not be as big as those that I have shown below the surface. So, this is a sample of responses from around 12 major construction companies, where they're talking about around 25% of them spoke about inadequate management support, unwillingness of project staff. We had problems with subcontractor staff. We're talking about inadequate technical expertises. But this is coming from a kind of a sampling from a construction company. But if you look at me coming from a kind of a consultant firm, on a lighter note, I would say the first point, the inadequate management support would be the highest. Because whatever I have seen in my 28, 29 years, the money that is required for getting a better quality, the management support is the one that I feel from the contractor side, there is scope of a lot of improvement. Of course, I'm not going to talk about big companies like L&T, who we've already seen Ramakrishnan, providing us such a wonderful, kind of a vision on what L&T does and how it does. But I'm talking about the general contracting companies that we have in India, where the support or the push on quality from the management is actually low. Coming from a construction company, 25% is a good number, but from a consulting company, I would say it would be around 75 to 80%. And of course, inadequate technical skills, yes, that is a very major component. I think this is going to be once again seen from a training perspective, from a kind of reskilling perspective, from a kind of competency building perspective, where the companies need to invest in, both the consultant as well as the contractor firms, try to invest and get the best of the people on site and kind of an empowered site team to reduce the costs and the time effect of poor quality. A wonderful initiative between Niti Aayog and QCI, around 3 years back, was the initiation of the IM book in line with the PM book system of the PMI. There is a kind of a project management certification that is being thought of. L&T, Shapurji, all the big companies are also getting into the board of this, so that collectively the big contractor firms and the consultant firms get into kind of a project management certification and try to understand how all these things really impact or affect the project management works. So I think that's something that we should be working more and more. Mr. Ghosh spoke about the high-speed rail that TC is working upon. This is currently India's biggest project in terms of project management. It's around 1,111 crores that TC has backed with 3 of its partners. Of course, L&T is doing most of the construction works in the Gujarat portion of it, while the Maharashtra portion is yet to be tendered out. But then, TC as such, TC with its partners, we have kind of a focused approach on training, where at least 2 sessions on every Saturday is focused on training the staff on the best practices that are there on the current works that are undergoing. Be it the piling, be it the survey, be it the piling test, the geotechnical test. So every Saturday we have 2 sessions where the SMEs in the company come in and try to train the people on the program. In addition to this, we also have a kind of a digital training platform where modules, video modules are built in, and people are encouraged to complete these programs and gain certifications on their training imparted. We are seeing a kind of an improved delivery at the final product job, and this is giving us more and more enthusiasm to try more and more training initiatives going forward. So what are the major reasons that we've seen? Total quality management, it's not a common practice in India. ISO registration is mainly for marketing. The sales people go and say, we are ISO certified, that this, we are not looking into getting the standardization into actual practice. The implementation quality management is more on a tick box exercise to fulfilling the contractual obligations. So the satisfaction of the client's envisaged needs, I don't think that's being as seriously taken vis-a-vis the fulfilling of the contractual obligations. And we are still talking about quality management being done through traditional methods. We spoke about, Ramakrishnan spoke about the way digitalization, the advanced technologies that have come in. not all companies are still investing on these methods where the end product, the deliverable that is coming as an end result is of a quality that is expected, stated, or desired. No, we are still not working on it. We are still not investing enough on that. Leadership buying, yes, we should be looking into more and more leadership buying interventions where they focus on quality, they talk on quality. This is actually a top-driven thing is what I feel. That's my personal opinion. And then finally, allocation of due monies and human resources for the quality management. So if you look into a systematic approach, so what do we need? We need to have a good design. We need to have a consistent construction method, consistent and good quality material. We have to have satisfactory instructions or the monitoring instructions. So all these with the due feedbacks, the site operations would be in such a way where the end user is going to be a consistently satisfied person who feels that, yes, I'm being delivered what I had sought for. That's something that we should be looking at. The feedback mechanism has to be a continuous engagement process across all the things where we are looking into a better quality management. So benefits, yes, reduce time cost, delivery of excellence, builds up reputation. L&T, what it is today is because of consistent delivery, reduction in waste, time loss, involvement of all parties. This is something that that comes in where we keep on getting better and better ideas together with all empowered stakeholders. Getting into kind of an India context, let's just see the global revenue growth, what Moody's has rated. Construction companies are growing at an average of 5%. So this is something big. So $8 trillion by 2030. China, US, India are going to drive India to grow at 200% more against China. And construction sector in India is around 7.16% of our GDP, roughly 12.75 lakh crores. So if this is the size of construction that we're talking about, construction quality is going to have the importance or kind of enthuse us to see that we focus on this. Mr. Pandey was there. I think he told us that he joined NHAI in 2015 from where he has taken up the current position. This is a report that Mr. Nitin Gadkari had presented earlier. He spoke about the report spoke about an annual loss of around $21.3 billion in India. And out of this $21.3 billion, roughly around 14.7 or $15 billion accounted for additional fuel consumption because of the poor quality of roads and the lower vehicle speeds and higher average stoppages. Can you imagine? This is what I spoke about, the side effects of poor quality. We are not only talking about a loss of $21.3 billion. We are talking about an aside where because of the poor quality of roads, we are spending more and more on additional fuel. And this additional fuel, the cost that we're talking about is much more than what India owed Iran because of fuel subsidy, what India spent or budgeted against agriculture, farmer welfare, rural development, and urban development. This is something that we are talking about. This is poor quality, and this is a cost of poor quality, which we are not able to immediately identify and focus on. As a group, where you have all contractors, consultants, we all should be together in trying to ensure that quality is delivered while we are talking about the monetary resources of a country. So the major cause of rework, the rework that we're talking about, unskilled supervisor, labor skills, changes in owner and environmental conditions, fault in the methodology, shortage of material, the site drawing. So these are some of the major cause of rework that we're talking about. Why rework? Because as I've already told you, 14 to 15% of the capex cost goes for rework. Even if you're talking about 12.5 lakh crores of rupees, and even at a conservative estimate of 10%, we are talking about 1.25 lakh crores of rework that is happening, which is of no use to anyone. No use for the contractor, no use for the client, no use for the consultant. So that's something that we should be focusing to work on and try to reduce. training, this is something that we had a research of from around 8 building projects in Pune. The cost of rework vis-a-vis the cost of training, overall what we saw was cost of training was very, very minimal. Of course, a couple of projects had very high costs of training vis-a-vis the rework, but then this gives us a kind of an insight that yes, we can look into training more and more of our people, the workmen, the supervisor, to ensure better quality, which would thereby support us in reducing the rework. So this is something that I would leave the thought open to all the listeners to kind of see if this is worth their while, trying to see how they can invest more and more onto the training to reduce the cost on the rework. The major factors affecting quality, yes, we are looking into workmanship, the concrete, the reinforcement being very high cost. This once again would be looking into the supervision factor. In India, as Mr. Pandey said, the owner's engineer, the PMC, the construction supervisor, this is something that we are still lacking on, where we are looking into L1. Slowly the system is changing. We are getting more and more into the QCBS system of 80-20, 70-30, where due weightage is given to the approach methodology, given due weightage to the kind of systems and processes that the consultants bring in. But I think, getting a kind of a supervising engineer or a PMC or a consulting engineer on board would surely support in getting us delivering better quality to the end customer. Conclusion, we need to have a proper quality system, quality plan, having proper standard operating procedures, SOPs, training both the design as well as the execution team, trying to give them more bandwidth to understand issues, to resolve issues, to understand the effect and the costs of failures. And that's something which is very, very important that people do understand. We should be looking into training the supervisors and the actual workmen to understand the definition of good quality, so that they start getting encouraged to deliver that. Audits and inspections have to be given due weightage for all the works that are being done. We need to also understand, collect all analytics on the works that we have already done, trying to understand what kind of preventive actions, preventive measures can be done going ahead, and then have a kind of a continuous engagement with the customer, because finally we are all, both the contractor and the consultant would be working towards the client's end needs. I think we should be having a kind of a good engagement and connect with him to try to get his feedback, so that mid-course corrections can happen. And finally, we need to move away from the traditional L1 model in identifying consultants and contractors to a more quality-oriented QCBS, where we give more and more weightage to the systems, processes, and their quality management systems. So with this, I would pause and then off to you, to Mr. Ghosh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Satish Rao. We really liked your iceberg model. That's an eye-opener, how you, visualize the poor quality. What you see at the top is just the tip of the iceberg. What is hidden is far more. And the cost of poor quality brought out with you is also very interesting. Let me just tell you, CA has been working relentlessly to replace L1 with QCBS, and that is already being implemented in the GFR, and it's been rolled out ministry-wise. MORTH has already adopted, and other ministries also need to adopt in due course once it's part of the GFR. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Rao.
Thanks a lot.
I would now like to invite Mr. Alok Bhaumik to share his views. Mr. Bhaumik is the Vice President at CEI and the Managing Director of his company's consulting firm, BS Engineering Consultants. Mr. Bhaumik is an eminent bridge engineer with exceptional records and achievements. He's a fellow of National Academy of Engineering and represents India's most distinguished engineers engineer scientists and technologists, covering the entire spectrum of engineering disciplines. He is also an international professional engineer of the Institution of Engineers, India. He is a recipient of the 24th S.B. Joshi Memorial Award for the year 2018 for excellence in bridge and structural engineering. He has over 40 years of experience in the field of bridge and structural engineering. He is known to actively participate in disseminating professional knowledge to the young professionals in many forums. He is currently Vice President of CEI, a Vice Chairman of International Group of the International Association of Bridge and Structural Engineering. He is also presently the Chairman of Editorial Board of the Quarterly Journal of ING iBase. He is the immediate past president of Indian Association of Structural Engineers and currently holding the post of Chairman, Professional Development and Technical Event Committee of iStructT. He is an active member in several national and international code committees in BIS and IRC. He's written and published more than 80 technical papers in various national and international journals. Over to you, Mr. Bhaumik.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, for the kind words. Am I audible and is my screen visible?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So we have had, I've just listened to 3 excellent presentations. I mean, they were all very good, starting with Mr. R.K. Pandey mentioning about the highways, the system in place, and how there are several layers of, checks and balances in NHAI to ensure quality. We have also heard from Mr. Ramakrishnan, one of the top-notch brand contractor in India, about the quality, the advanced technology. We have heard also from Mr. Satish Rao, one of the, I think, the best consulting engineering firm in India, about the project management quality. What I'm talking about are the myths of quality assurance in construction projects, because despite all these good things that has been talked about, the fact of the matter is that we are getting very poor quality of construction per se. There has been number of failures and it is continuing. The frequency of failures and near misses are really worrisome. So why is it that, despite the fact that we are having so many infrastructure projects, but we are not able to keep pace and maintain quality? Let me get into the details. So in this presentation, I will be talking about several myths in the industry pertaining to quality, which is responsible for the current poor state of affairs. We all know, that we are one of the fastest developing country in the world today, and we are implementing very large scale infrastructure projects. Not only L&T and TCE is working with us, there are so many contractors of different skill level. So we have to deal with all of them as a consultant, as a client, or as a contractor. We have to deal with several subcontractors who are working. And these kind of complex projects requires complex technology and demands a very high skill level of technicians and workforces. Unfortunately, the skill level is lacking in the country, and this has resulted in the current safety levels, which are unacceptable. So the need of the hour is to give attention and focus on a very systematic identification, estimation, and control of the safety risks. There are growing concerns for quality. We have seen in recent years, as I mentioned, increasing lack of confidence in the build quality. Too many projects with focus mainly on time and too few projects with focus on quality. This is the prime reason I would feel why we are having problems with regard to the quality in our projects. Also, there has been a shift in the approach, in the mode of contracting. Earlier, we used to, 2 decades ago, we used to have projects where the design was the responsibility of the client and the tenders were floated on an item rate basis, and the contractor was responsible for the construction. There has been a diminution of designers' role in construction sector once these HAM projects or BOT projects or EPC projects have come in. Designers are increasingly being relegated to a secondary role and losing control over the quality of the structures. Because once the design becomes the responsibility of the contractor, then the designer's control of client over the design gets very much restricted. And that I find is one of the prime reason for this poor quality. We have seen a number of failures in the recent past, and these are all reflection of very poor quality management at site of works and poor maintenance and asset management. Not only these are during construction, though majority, as I think majority of the failures we have seen during construction, but we have seen also failures like Morbi suspension bridge failure and many others during service. The construction of this quality infrastructures are not only essential for the efficient utilization of the national resources and capital costs, but are also essential to provide a safe and comfortable journey to the users with minimum operating cost. As someone mentioned, I think Mr. Satish Rao mentioned in his presentation that the cost of error is significant, and he mentioned some 15%. But my study shows that it is even more than 15%. For National Highway, Mr. R.K. Pandey mentioned about many things, and I think one of the good things which has happened is a policy circular by Ministry of Transport, which is dated October 2021, where the concerns of quality was very much emphasized. The role of contractor, role of authorities engineer, independent engineer, role of the NHAI officers and the ministry officers, all these very nicely put in this policy circular. And what are the checklists for roles and responsibilities of various stockholders. All these are very nicely explained in this policy circular. But the real problem is in implementation of this policy circular. What I find is that despite this kind of nice policy circulars, on ground, these are hardly implemented. We have seen also, whenever there is a structural failure, the complexities of reality is often oversimplified and distorted, and often influenced by a spin from interested parties. Immediately after failure, you will know that, it was an act of God. For example, a couple of months back, there was a failure in Bihar, and the immediate reaction from the contractor as well as the press is that it was due to thunderstorm in Bhagalpur. Though there was no thunderstorm, and subsequently there was a press report by the Honorable Minister himself ridiculing the officer's reason for collapse. So such things often happens, and this kind of diluting the serious concerns of failure by the not only by the client, by the society at large, is actually root cause of the problems that we are facing today. I will not take many examples, but I just want to add one more, though there are many such examples. This is a flyover which collapsed in Kolkata, I think in 2016, which killed some 27 people and injured more than 80 people. The first reaction of the contractor was that it is an act of God. Subsequently, it was found that the mishap occurred due to wrong design by incompetent designer, due to poor construction by shadow contractor. The actual contractor appointed for this job was an overseas contractor, but the real work was done by an Indian contractor who did not qualify for this kind of job. And also the very poor material was used on record, and there was a complete absence of proper supervision. Now, it is essential that when the problems arise with structures, whether it is a failure or a near miss, the facts are established by rigorous investigation. They are fully published without the blame game and clearly summarized and disseminated within the organization. We must learn lessons from such failures. But unfortunately, even after these kind of series of failures, we do not learn lessons. We continue to repeat the same mistakes again and again, simply because the lessons are not learned. The investigation reports are buried into the carpet. It is not made public. So what are the various myths in the quality assurance and quality control? Let me go one by one and explain. First is that, many people think that quality assurance is a simple task involving testing of material and verification of workmanship at site. Quite often, the person who is made responsible for quality by the contracting firm or even by the client, it is kind of a punishment posting. The person who is not supposedly not good for construction, he should be sent to the quality assurance. So in reality, it is just the opposite. The quality assurance is the most important task, which must start from the planning stage itself. With the proper quality assurance in place, there can be many important issues of concern which can be addressed during construction, identified. You can tweak with this. In fact, there is a possibility, if you have a good quality control, that you can optimize and save a huge amount by changing the standard deviation, by reducing the cement content in a mix. Because if you have a good low standard deviation, have better quality control, you can change your design mix to save material as well as a contractor. So in my opinion, it is not enough to just have a quality assurance system in place. It must form the cornerstone of the company's work ethics, as I think both Mr. Ramakrishnan as well as Mr. Satish Rao highlighted before my presentation. Second myth is that, generally it is many people believe that the site QA/QC is a low-key job, not attracted towards this task at all. Management do not give importance to this task and involves a very dumb person. I remember in one of the, after failure, post-failure investigation, where I was a team member of the investigation, when I was interacting with the quality person at site just a day after the collapse, I was shocked to see the quality of that person, his knowledge base. The fact of the matter is that it is, in most of these projects, it's a pretty complex job that requires not only technical knowledge, but also creative thinking and analytical problem-solving skills. As I mentioned, significant saving in production costs can be achieved if you have a good person at QA/QC. The third myth is that it is a job where one simply go for tick box solution in a given checklist format. Excuse me. I have seen, and in fact, I have worked also in the past with many organizations, which are ISO 9001 organizations, where the audit reports are filled only when there is a external audit just a day before. Months and months of work will be ticked only on a day just to satisfy the auditor. And this shows the culture. I mean, you see, just merely having a system in place will not work. You have to make sure that the system is actually being, implemented in the letter and spirit. The fourth myth is that the designers are not required to visit site to inspect whether the design intent is met or not. And this is a very serious issue. Most of the today EPC contracts or HAM contracts, the contractor has a designer who reports to the contractor, and then there is a authorities engineer engaged by the client, and the authorities engineer is responsible for the construction at site, and the designer is many of the projects I have seen, the designer never makes a visit to the site of works. And it is not in his scope of work, in his terms of reference. And if there is a vigilant designer, then the contractor doesn't want the designer to visit the site, because he will go there and find some 10 mistakes. Excuse me. So I think this is an important issue, and the client, like in National Highway Authority of India or Ministry of Transport and all these mega projects, they should make it mandatory that the contractor and the design consultants' terms of reference should include mandatory site visits with reports, so that the designer makes sure that the design intent is sort of met with at site. So having discussed various myths, let me now mention the way forward. There is no doubt that there is a dire need to improve the quality of construction. All stakeholders must work towards this end, and they have to tighten their belt, since the cost of avoidable errors is quite significant. Now, this is the slide which shows what is the cost of error. And this is what I have taken from a report from UK. The figures are no different in other countries. Similar research was done in USA as well as in Australia, and the figures are quite similar. Ultimately, all these cost of errors are borne by the owner one way or the other. What you see in this is, where the breakup of this cost of error, where from it comes. The first is the direct cost, which is just 5% out of this 20 to 30%. That is only a very small fraction of the total. Then there is an indirect cost, that is the delay caused by the error, which is about 7%. Then there is unrecorded process waste, which is nothing but inefficiency of the agency involved, and that is also quite a substantive amount. And last, we have these latent defects. Many contractors and companies reserve some percentage, something like 3% on an average or so, in their budget to correct errors that they know they will make. So imagine in any project where the consultants are paid in fraction of not even 1%, it is only a fraction in terms of percentage of the construction cost. A whopping 20 to 30% of the cost is just lost because of these kind of errors. Only if you add 1% in the fees of the consultant and make sure that the consultant, a competent consultant is engaged, probably you can save a substantive amount of this construction, besides the brand image. Any contractor or a consultant, once there is a failure at site, the image that he loses is much more than the cost that he loses, in the process. So to conclude, I will say, for owner, clients, and authorities engineer, a quality assurance system for construction should focus on the process as well as the end product, and should not be allowed to become a bureaucratic process of just ticking boxes. When appointing consultants, include the requirement to carry out sufficient periodic site inspections to satisfy the design intent. For consultants and structural engineers, I think the contract agreement with client shall specify the design designated hold points for inspection and ensure that the relevant inspections are carried out by members of the design team. The consultants must be aware of the risk of accepting a design-only commission that excludes site inspection, because tomorrow, if there is any problem, whatever may be the reason, then you will be dragged. And once there is a failure in an investigation, it becomes very difficult to prove whether it is, a design fault or a construction fault, and you keep justifying your position. But I have seen many failures where the design intent was not actually put because of, for example, you take the case of a flyover failure in Kolkata, which overturned. And when the investigation took place, it overturned after about 7 or 8 years of service. And when the investigation took place, what they found is the bearings were interchanged during the construction itself by mistake. So the design what intent was not fulfilled at site, and that proved to be a fatal. And people started wondering as to how it survived for 4 or 5 years. It should have failed on the day one itself. So you have to be aware of the risk of accepting a design-only commission, and you must take every opportunity to appropriately inspect the works during construction, and also to use this as a training for less experienced engineers. Many a times, as a designer, you do something, you go to site, and you find that what you have done is a lot of congestion at site due to reinforcement congestion, and you realize that you made a mistake, and you come back, you improve upon it. So visit to site also helps you to improve yourself or your engineers, and you come back to be a better engineer. So I will conclude by just quoting Phil Stevens, who said that as for the future of quality management, I would like to think that the audit fraternity will come to realize that there is an enormous gap between the pedantic view of quality management and what happened successfully in practice. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhaumik. Thank you for elucidating the myths about QA and QC and brought out the reasons of failure and what more that needs to be done. We have a few questions, not too many. We'll just take this up. And there is one question. I'll just repeat what it says. It's from Mr. Natarajan Krishnamurthy. I'm listening to the excellent talks delivered by various top experts. I'm somewhat disappointed that the impact of workplace safety on quality in construction has not been mentioned as an important factor by many of the speakers. Can one or more speakers please comment? Mr. Bhaumik, would you like to comment on that?
Can you please repeat the question? I probably did not listen the full question.
I'm somewhat disappointed that the impact of workplace safety on quality in construction has not been mentioned as an important factor by many of the speakers.
Yeah, quite right. I tend to agree with that view that, that is a very important aspect which perhaps, should have been considered. Yes.
I'll take it, Mr. Ghosh.
Yeah, okay.
The topic was different. We are talking about quality in construction and its impact on nation building. Of course, safety in itself is a huge topic that would require a dedicated workshop or a seminar or a webinar, as you call it. Workplace safety is very important, very paramount. But then the topic today was not on workplace safety, but the quality in construction and its impact on the nation building as such. So that is why we did not cover it, is what I would presume.
Okay, thank you. And this next question is also related. The availability of qualified and trained personnel is not adequately highlighted. This is also related to that. Another question, quality implementation involves more time and stoppages and cost. That is a general impression. Mr. Rao, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, that would be costlier, but then if you're going to compare it vis-a-vis the cost of failure, then that would be much more. I would rather focus on the cost of failure and the cost of rework, and then try to have it compared against what you said. So I tend to agree on that. Yes.
We don't have any more questions, but I saw there was one a hand raised by Mr. Abhijit Dasgupta. Is Mr. Abhijit Dasgupta there? Would you like to talk, or would you like to put your question in this Q&A section? I don't hear. I think with this, I would like to request Mr. Suhash Bhagwat to deliver his vote of thanks. And after that, we'll bring this to a conclusion. Suhash, please. I think you're unmute. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you, Mr. Ghosh. And I'm sure all those who participated in today's webinar will agree on two basic things. One is the importance of the topic that the webinar handled today in the context, especially of the current day situation of the country, which is seeing and will continue to see a boom of construction activity. And not only the boom in construction activity, but also the impact of inadequate quality in construction, which is resulting into the catastrophic failures and inadequate performance of these installed facilities, etc. So how do you overcome this? I think that particular topic, this is the essence of the topic today. How do you overcome the shortcomings in the overall construction, which may be resulting from shortcomings in quality, and how what are the underlying aspects? And I think we have had a very, very engaging session with discussions on wide-ranging topics on the subject of quality in construction in different industrial sectors in our nation's economy. So thank you very much for all the speakers. Now let me go systematically in addressing all those people who have contributed, all those entities who have contributed to making this webinar a great success. To start with, I would like to thank CAAI and the entire quality subcommittee, quality subcommittee team to have conceptualized this webinar theme and making this webinar happen today. I think that's something which I wanted to start with. Of course, as part of this, I also want to thank the President of CAI, Mr. Dr. Ajay Pradhan, for his opening remarks, which really very nicely set the context for the webinar today. He also brought out aspects of the failures in different infrastructure facilities, which have really shaken up the sense of engineering, construction, and quality. And really, people are standing up to take note of the importance of this aspect very clearly. And in the same note, Mr. R.K. Pandey, the keynote speaker, Mr. R.K. Pandey, member projects of the National Highway Authority, he brought out very, very important, pertinent points, again, with respect to quality in construction in general, and with a focus on road construction quality, and how important it is to ensure the aspect to be given due importance throughout the life cycle of the project, right from the design stage to selecting the right contractor, and rather than going in for the lowest cost bidder, but also ensuring that the contractor who's selected comes in with the right experience and right mindset to ensure good quality. Thanks to all the panel speakers from industry, Mr. D.U. Ramakrishnan from L&T Engineering Hydrocarbon, who heads the quality in construction services, Mr. M. Satish Rao from Tata Consulting Engineers, who heads the PMC business unit, and Mr. Alok Bhaumik, who heads the consultancy firm B&S Engineering Consultants, who focuses on road construction projects. So it's very unique opportunity. It is a unique opportunity that all the participants got to get an insight into different aspects of quality in these wide range of industrial segments. Mr. Ramakrishnan came out beautifully with the challenges faced by hydrocarbon industry with the larger and more complex projects with more and more stiff timelines, and how the construction quality and the quality throughout the life cycle of the project can be maintained and can be improved through advanced techniques, advanced machinery, and while at the same time not compromising on the cost. While you're improving, while you're deploying higher and higher and advanced machines, you get much higher productivity, reduce the time, but at the same time there's no question of compromising on the quality. These aspects he brought out very clearly and very effectively. Mr. Satish Rao, thanks for your presentation on overall project quality in a large-scale project business throughout the life cycle of the project, and how the different aspects, different concepts of quality, the failure cost versus the prevention cost, you need to understand how the two operate and how you have to put focus on the right parameters. Mr. Bhaumik came out with very clear understanding of why are the road and similar infrastructure, civil infrastructure projects failing, because there's no adequate focus on quality sometimes at the beginning of the project, and how it's important to change the mindset, change the way of working, provide better focus on these aspects so that finally we come out with projects which are robust and don't result into disastrous consequences. So having looked at the aspects covered by the panel speakers, I also take the opportunity to thank the International Road Foundation, IRF, for extending their wholehearted support to this webinar. And also my special thanks to the chairman of the Quality Subcommittee of CEI, Mr. Somnath Ghosh, who has originated this idea of this webinar and his team, and also was a driving force behind the entire efforts that went in making this seminar a great success. And last but not the least, I would also like to thank the CEI organizing team headed by Mr. Rajiv Maini, with due support from his team members such as Sheena and others, who have painstakingly done all the background work, including the release of flyer, coordination with all the stakeholders in this webinar, and ensuring that this has happened in a very structured and systematic manner. And we have just come to a conclusion of this webinar. Thank you very much, everybody. And I hand over back to Mr. Ghosh to take this forward to conclude the webinar.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Suhash. You concluded very well. If we can take one more minute, there is one question that has come from Mr. Rajiv V. Iyer. Can we have something similar to CDM, Construction Design Management Regulations in India, so as to make people accountable for their activity? Anybody would like to comment among the speakers? Mr. Bhaumik?
Yeah, you see, this is the root of the problem, and we have been fighting since 1970 for licensing of engineers. And I think the answer lies in first regulating the profession of engineering itself. Today, because of non-regulation of the profession, anybody can take the role of project management, whether there is hardly any check and balance, whether the competence is there or not. You take the example of Morbi footbridge failure, suspension bridge, which was given to a clock manufacturer for repair and renovation. So unless there is a licensing of engineers, for which we are knocking the doors of various ministries, and I think we are still hopeful that maybe in times to come, we will have the engineers bill in place. And once that is there, there will be accountability for engineers. And I think this can happen.
So thank you very much. And I wish also thank the participants who have stayed with us till now. It's past 5:30. We are scheduled to close by 5:30. It's almost 5:40, 5:38 now. Thank you very much. And CI, I'm sure we'll come up with new webinars on similar topics. And we would like to, get your participation in future as well.
Thank you.
And we should thank all the speakers also for the excellent presentations and the interactions.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, for excellent moderation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ramakrishnan. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Thank you, Mr. Bhaumik.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
And I think Mr. Pandey has, Mr. Pandey, thank you, Mr.
He had
Pandey.
to leave. He had to leave a little early.
Okay, he has left.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.